how's it going everybody? Sinful Duck here, and welcome to another build video. Today we're doing a Magic Nightblade PvP build. This is a Battleground support build. The damage isn't crazy high on this build. Your job with this build is to support your team. So you're going to buff, debuff, heal. You're going to do all kinds of things to support the team to make them more powerful. So in the long run, by increasing everyone else's damage, you're gonna do pretty good. I've been testing this out in the Battlegrounds recently, and we've been winning a lot of games with it. So let's dive into it, take a look at exactly what we're doing and what sets we're running, and yeah, let's jump into the skills first of all. Alright, so I'm gonna run kind of real quickly here through the skills, but we're running Funnel Health. This is a very important skill for this build because this is going to heal your entire team. So in PvP, the heals with this build through Funnel Health, they tick for about between 11 to 1200 depending on the damage that you do. So 11 to 1200 per tick on that, very strong, and it spreads to everyone, which is amazing, and you'll see why we want that later. Second up, Crippling Grasp, just to have a nice strong dot. It's also a good form of snare for helping the team out. If someone's trying to run away, you can get that little root on them with the Immobilize and then give them the big snare. Merciless Resolve, so obviously that's for a little bit of burst damage. It's also for the 8% damage buff. Then this is kind of where we start getting into the support skills. We're running Shadow Image. That obviously does a little bit of damage and it gives you the teleport, but the main reason that we're doing this is because of the 15% damage reduction. So this is putting minor maim on the targets, and with the recent patch you can actually control it. So it puts minor maim for 4 seconds. If you do a heavy attack, it'll change targets. Now it doesn't have to be a fully charged heavy attack, so you can actually just do a real quick medium attack and go back and forth between targets, and as long as it hits them once, they have that 4-second debuff. So you can manage that if you want, or you can just set it and forget it. It's kind of a tricky micromanagement thing, but regardless, even if you just set it and forget it and it's only on one target, that's still 15% damage reduction on that target, which can be insanely helpful if you have it on the right person. Next up we have Elemental Drain. Elemental Drain, if you're running with Magicka players, so I usually run with like Mage Sorks and Templars, things like that, so people who use Magicka obviously. So running this, you're going to not only give them Major Breach, which is Spell Pen, so you're not only giving them Spell Pen, but you're also giving them basically the equivalent of 600 Magicka recovery. You can see at the bottom it does 300 Magicka per second. Per 1 second. And magic recovery is per 2 seconds. So this is like the equivalent of 600 magic recovery, and all your team has to do is hit that target. So if you're coordinating a little bit, or if you're just putting this on multiple targets, I mean, look at, there's no casting cost, and you can have it on multiple targets. So spread this around, and it's going to really boost your team. Even if they're stamina players, the extra Magicka is still very beneficial because for like a Stam Nightblade, they can cloak more, or they can fear more, or things like that. So even if you're playing with stamina guys, this can still be very beneficial. But if you are playing with some stam guys and they need extra armor pen, you can change this out for the mark. But for most situations, I would stick with Elemental Drain. Also, the other thing that this does for you, because it's a Destro skill, it's going to give you, now you can see I don't even have this leveled up all the way, but it's going to give you the Ancient Knowledge buff, which on a Flame Staff is going to give you 8% damage. So as long as you have Elemental Drain, you get this. If you take Elemental Drain off, you're not going to get that. So there's another reason to keep Ele Drain. For our ultimate, I'm using Incapacitating Strikes. So the damage on it is a little bit less than you might get with Soul Harvest, but not by much, especially in a no CP situation. And By the way, I am in a no CP campaign right now, so all my stats are in non-CP PvP. So you can see unbuffed Incapacitating Strike is still doing over 8,000 damage. But the reason I like this one is because there's a very small trade-off in damage when you're using non-CP, and you get a stun with this one. And a lot of people don't expect it, so very good to have. You do lose the extra ultimate gain from Soul Harvest, but I'm really liking Incapacitating Strikes, but you can really use either morph. It's not really a big deal. I also think I might trade this out for Soul Assault. Soul Assault would be an amazing choice for that one. However, this is kind of a new tune, so I don't have it unlocked. So if you do have Soul Assault, I might go with that one instead. Alright, onto the back bar. Structured Entropy, I'm using that one for the health buff so that our bubble is a little bit better. You can use either one, it really doesn't matter for this build. Then we have Healing Ward. We've got our Fear in case somebody gets on us, or if we need to, in the Battleground, there's a lot of clumping up. So you can kind of fear the whole team at once, which is pretty nice, or at least most of the team. You get 3 enemies. I am using Double Take instead of Mirage, just because I like the on-demand speed from it, rather than 1300 armor. But I am using Quick Siphon. Now, this is another one that people may not like, and there are some situations where it's not the strongest. So if you do have something to swap in here, feel free to do it. This is kind of a flex spot for me. But Quick Siphon kind of has a dual role. The first thing it does, obviously, is what the tooltip says, is it's going to give anyone on your team that's attacking that target is going to get health back every second. So since it is health, it is affected by Battle Spirit. So you're not going to get the 600 health every second. You're going to get 350-ish, somewhere in there. But still, that's every 1 second. So you're basically gaining 600 over 2 seconds. So kind of the equivalent of 600 health recovery. It works similar to a hot. So if you do have a debuff on you like Minor Defile or Major Defile, it will affect that. But overall, it is still a very powerful healing tool. Another thing this does is that it's very helpful if you're playing with a coordinated team. It is very helpful for calling targets. It's a huge animation. It's very easy to see, and if going into a fight, if your team knows that they're attacking your target, all you have to do is tell them to look out for that. Anytime they see that drop, attack that target. And in the Battlegrounds that I've played so far, it's been extremely powerful. It's worked so well to just drop that on a target and watch your entire team just jump on that person right away. So very strong tool there. If you do have something else you'd rather have in this spot, like I said, it's kind of a flex spot, so go for it. Swap this out if you want to, but for most situations, I do like it. You will have issues with some Templars that can purge it, but for the most part, it's worth it. Ultimate on this bar is Soul Tether. Don't really need to explain that. It's good for the AoE stun, the AoE heal, damage, whatnot. So, plus we need a siphoning ability on this back bar, so that is it. Alright, let's get into the fun stuff here that I'm sure what most of you guys are waiting for, which is the gear. So my idea with this build was to create something that would be very survivable for myself and still benefit the team. So I wanted to go with a high health recovery setup. So you can see right here I've got 1072 health recovery, which is not crazy high on its own. It's not, but it still gets the job done. So you've got that going all the time, and that's partly buffed up by our Willow's Path. So we're getting, I mean, all the recoveries: magic, stamina, health, and then 15% as our 5-piece. So that's a big buff. And I tried this with Seducers. I tried this with Magnus. Magnus I didn't like. I really didn't like Magnus. If you're looking for just a Magicka sustain setup, Seducers is a little bit better. It's not better by much, but it is a little bit better. But I went with Willows because it gives you the Magicka, stamina, and health. It gives you everything, and for this build, I wanted to get health recovery up. So the health recovery is pretty high with this. I mean, we're sitting almost at 1100 there, and you can see we're going to proc Troll King. So we've got a lot of things that'll proc Troll King. If you look at our bar here, Funnel Health will proc Troll King. Structured Entropy will proc Troll King. Quick Siphon will proc Troll King. Soul Tether will proc Troll King. I mean, you have so many things that will proc Troll King. And the thing that I like most about it, and what helps this be such a great support build, is that you not only do you have Funnel Health on all of your teammates, but you also get Troll King on all of your teammates. So if they start dropping down, they got Troll King proccing on them, along with your heal from Funnel Health and your heal from Quick Siphon. So you've got a lot of capability for healing your team. And a big portion of it, which is Troll King, is passive. It's passive and it can't be reduced, which is amazing. So Troll King is super strong on the support build. Anyway, so we're running 2 Troll King and we're running 5 Willow's Path here. I've got some Impen, some Divines. You can go all Impen, all Divines. It's kind of up to you. It doesn't really matter that much. I just went with the 3 Impen just to kind of help out with people jumping on me. Then we're running Willpower. And you can see it's kind of an awkward setup. I've got 1 for health recovery, 1 spell damage, 1 magic recovery. Now, it's not a gold enchant on the magic recovery because I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it. But I do think I will keep it for Battlegrounds. If you want to, if you're comfortable with using the Resto Heavy attack to gain your Magicka, feel free to swap this out for more damage, more health recovery, whatever you want. But for me, I'm leaving the magic recovery for right now. I'll probably stick with that because there's a lot of people running the poisons in the Battlegrounds right now that increase your cost, and it helps out a lot to have that little bit of extra recovery. The weapons are just kind of random weapons. They don't really matter too much at this point. So if you have Maelstrom or whatever masters that you want to run, go ahead. I'm running, you can see this is a sharpened Fire Staff with shock damage. Now, I will say this, as a support build, you want the shock damage. You want it, especially if you're going to be marking targets with Quick Siphon. You want to be hitting them with the shock damage because that shock damage, it's gonna proc its status effect a lot, and that shock damage is gonna buff your entire team by 8%. So that is huge. I am running Sharpen just so I do a little bit more damage. It helps with your heal for Funnel Health, but you can run Charged. If you run a charged weapon here, your uptime on that status effect for shock is going to be basically 100%. It's always going to be up with a charged weapon. So that one I leave up to you. If you go with charged, you're going to help the team out a little bit more, but you personally will do a little less damage. So I leave that one up to you. I'm running Sharpen now, but I've done both and they both work really well. The Resto Staff, just running Defending. You can run something else there if you want, but I am doing Defending. So the enchant that I'm running, you can see, is the Restore Magicka one. You don't have to use that. You can go with something like Oblivion damage or Frost damage, just if you want another extra little debuff or a little extra damage. But when I Resto Heavy with no CP, I'm getting back about 42 to 4,300 Magicka for each one, and then you add that enchant in there, which it'll go off basically with each heavy attack, and that gives you another 300 plus. So you're getting back a good chunk of Magicka each time you do a heavy attack. That's why I was saying if you do want to give up Ellie Drain, you can, but I would definitely keep a Destro ability on that bar. Hey, sorry guys, this might be kind of a weird edit, but I totally forgot. I wanted to show you guys some stats with this build and discuss one other quick thing here. So what I wanted to talk about is the spell and physical resist. So if you look at the spell resist, we're sitting at 15,000, kind of both of them at the same number there. Physical will be a little bit lower. You can see I've got the defensive scroll, which increases your armor rating. Physical resist is usually about 1k less. It's at 14 and this is at 15. But what I wanted to point out is that even if these resist numbers look low, and you know, you're thinking, oh well, you're in heavy armor and you're still only at that number, well, this guy is a Nord. So the race we went with is Nord for a couple reasons. Number one, you do gain max stam and you gain health recovery. So you got 20% health recovery, which is really good for that. But the biggest reason to go with Nord, actually I just saw another one, you do get increased max health by 9%, and then you get cold resistance. So an extra 2k resist against all those wardens out there who are running their cold builds. But the biggest reason is this: reduced damage taken by 6%. Now, that is awesome. It's not just a certain type of damage. This is all damage by 6%, which basically is the equivalent of another 4,000 armor and spell resist. It's just shy of 4k. So when you look at our spell resist and physical resist numbers there, add another 4k to those, and that's really where you're sitting. So yeah, so now that I've got that out of the way, let's jump back into this. Yeah, that is it for the build. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments. And I'm not going to show CP for this because I'm sticking to mainly non-CP setups for Battlegrounds. And this is a Battleground build, so there's no CP there. So I'm not going to show the CP. If you do decide to take this out open world on the CP campaign, I think at this point most people pretty much know where to put CP. Just make sure you put some points into health recovery if you do that. But yeah, that's all I got for this. Again, leave comments down below if you guys have any questions or suggestions on how to improve this. And yeah, enjoy the PvP clips that are coming up. And until next time, guys, take it easy.
The fact that we haven't lost a single Battlegrounds is definitely proof that your build is really good support.